All right. This is Saturday, and it's a very beautiful Saturday. I'm not sure about your weather today on your end, but it is beautiful out here today, and I just feel the marvelous time and the nature that surrounds me. So I would like to welcome you once again to the Gracious Hope Podcast. And today we are honored to have a remarkable guest. Miss Sharon George, and she is the founder and director of Mayu. That's Mayu Immigration Services Incorporated in Canada. And as Liberia's first female regulated Canadian immigration consultant, that is the RCIC IRB, Sharon brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to our discussion today on this podcast. With an undergraduate degree in political science from Liberia and a graduate degree in corporate social responsibility and energy from Scotland, she has dedicated her entire career to helping others experience and learn the complexities of immigration. Sharon also holds a certificate in immigration legal assistance from Canada and a graduate diploma in immigration and citizenship law from Queen's University. Her L3 license allows her to practice the full spectrum of Canadian immigration law, representing clients in various legal matters, including refugee and removal proceedings or hearings. Beyond her legal expertise, Sharon is passionate about educating the public to prevent immigration fraud and scams. And a lot of us, you watching right now, you've experienced something like that. As an immigrant herself, she has a deep understanding of the motivations behind immigration, making her insights invaluable today on our podcast. So join us as we explore her journey of life. We'll be looking at her motivation, her faith, and some of the challenges involved in the complex immigration system in Canada. And also, we must say that her work is so essential that we all need to support her in many ways. And that is, we can refer to some of our friends, families, and relatives who are going through some headaches right now of the immigration process. So I would like to say welcome once again to the Gracious Hope Live podcast. My name is Pastor Alexander L. Red. Reverend Suarez Dede isn't here today due to a program in the state of Maryland. So I'm going to be here to host the program today. And so our special guest here will talk a lot regarding the immigration system and her career, and also the challenges as well as her faith. Sharon George. We would like to say welcome to the Gracious Hope Live podcast today, Sharon. It's a
Thank
pleasure.
you so much. Thank you so much, Pastor Ed, for having me here. I'm so grateful to be present and kind of delve into these important topics.
Great, 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 great. Now, I listened to you. You were on a podcast, one of Liberia's popular podcasts, and you were speaking. You were talking about the complexities of the immigration system,
Mhm.
and you were so eloquent. You articulated your ideas very well. And then I got to get the gist or understanding of how the challenges that immigrants go through, not just only Liberians, but Africans as a whole,
Absolutely.
particularly in Canada. So it behooves me to send that invitation to you to be on our podcast today because you are doing something that we all consider the common good for humanity. So that's why we honor you here today as our special guest, Sharon.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it.
Okay. So now let's look at behind the veneer of your career and your immigration services that you offer to immigrants. Let us look at yourself. What has been your motivation all along that prompted you to get into immigration services?
hmm Yeah, I would say my experience as an immigrant, like having a lived experience as an immigrant where you have experienced refusals and you have experienced the appeal system, you have experienced separation from your loved ones because of immigration issues, like if the full 9 yards of the experience of an immigrant. I have gone through that, so that was actually the motivation for me behind this career, switching this career. When I moved to Canada in 2019, I went through it all, and so I remember having a very distressing situation. And I remember promising myself that very soon I will make sure that I will be able to represent people to ensure that they have access to these services, these very important services. Because when people make the decision to move from their home country, it's not always an easy decision, because you're leaving everything that you maybe would have known. You are completely making a transition that is foreign to you. So it's really it's a big decision. And so having the supports, it's a very important aspect of that move. And so that was my motivation, just switching careers and providing help to other people who are experiencing things I had experienced in the past.
Okay, and just for the get go here, you are a Liberian,
I
correct?
am a Liberian, yes.
And you are a may I say your immigration service is my you and me.
My
In my
you,
tribe, Bassa mean my you mean
woman,
you
woman,
girl.
woman.
Woman, okay, my
Yeah,
you go, okay, woman, okay. So
yeah.
when I saw that, I was like, okay, she's from Liberia, and I know that she hails from
Have
Grand
fun.
Bassa County.
Yeah,
That's where I'm hailed from. Okay, so now part of the preparation to get where you are today as an incredible immigration a service provider. What have been your journey? What are some of the challenges that you went through that got you where you are today?
right. So first of all, like I said before, you have to get regularized. And again, that's one aspect of my practice that I really kind of hone in. So when I deal with my clients, I put myself in their shoes, and I try to advise them from the stance where I experience this. I don't want you to experience this. Do this instead, because I know what it feels like. Right. So I came and I had to struggle to get my papers. I had to be separated from my children. They're still being processed. These kinds of things. These are the realities. There's nothing fast. There's nothing quick. There's nothing easy about immigration. And I went through it all. And I checked, technically, I'm still going through it. Right. And so all of those things kind of shaped me. And I said to myself, even though I have, significant professional and educational experience, now I'm in a new place. I need to go back to school. I believe in education. My mom was a teacher. So when it comes to going to school, it's something that, I know it makes a big impact in people's lives. And for me, I believe that's the way you get empowered. That's the way you really change your own life and change the lives of other people around you, getting an education. And the more I work in this field, the more I realize how important it is to get an education. It
Yeah.
is super important. And so that's what that drove me back to school. And of course, specifically to study immigration law and help people. And of course, there's potential for growth in this field. Canada is going to be needing people for the next 100, 200 years. This is not a field that, it's going to run out, or AI is going to run people out. It's not going to happen. Right. So
Mhm.
in fact, I will be really happy to see more Liberians living in Canada, just studying and becoming, a part of this beautiful field.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that was the thing that kind of made me make the switch to immigration law.
Wow. And you are not just helping Liberians, you are helping Africans and people from
Anyone,
other countries who are having immigration problem. What are some of the specific cases or categories that you deal with?
right? So my license authorizes me to practice all areas of immigration law.
Mhm.
But as you know, when you go to law school, people go to law. For those who went to the full law school and study all areas of the law, when you graduate, you don't practice in all areas of the law. You you choose one or two areas and you specialize. So when
Yes.
I went to law school, I studied specifically immigration law. Now, within immigration law, there are other areas as well, right? And so for me, most of our clients are students, those who want to study abroad, visitors, so temporary residence visitors, whether it's working, studying, or visiting. And then there's also temporary permanent residents as well, where you can move to Canada as a fully landed immigrant. You don't necessarily need anyone to sponsor you, as long as you meet the eligibilities. So your age and all those other factors, your education, your work experience, your language capabilities, all of those factors, could make you eligible to to move to Canada with your family as a permanent resident. And of course, there are refugees. So if you're already in Canada and you need representation at the board, that is something that, as a service, we also provide. If you were already in Canada and maybe you were being detained or maybe you were being removed from Canada, those are all services we are able to represent you at as well.
Okay. And living as a Canadian, let's say you're a refugee. I mean, for some people, I live in the United States and been here for a number of years, over 2 decades now. Um, there's a little twist when it comes to the immigration system when we are comparing and contrasting with the United States.
Mhm.
Now, being Okram with the immigration system in Canada, um, how does the system work when it comes to obtaining your green card? That we call the green card residential, legal permanent resident.
Mhm.
And in Canada, I don't know how you call it. How
Commonly
long
called
does it take?
PR.
LPR,
PR, permanent
or
residence.
permanent resident. How
Yeah.
long does it take to be a resident in
Okay.
Canada, a legal resident, like the permanent resident we're talking about? Does it take?
Wonderful.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so Canada, there's something called Express Entry that Canada has made available. There's so many other, Canada has over 100 different kinds of programs, but it comes down to where you're from. Most of the people who are from the global south, there are certain kinds of programs that they will be eligible for and not others, right? So let's focus on Express Entry right now, for example. Under Express Entry, there are three programs. One is called the Federal Skilled Worker Program. That is for professionals who are outside of Canada and want to move to Canada as fully landed permanent residents with their families, right? So that is one arm of the Express Entry. The other one is the trades for tradespeople who are outside of Canada. Those ones have other conditions attached to them as well. And then there's something called the Canadian Experience Class. So I bet you would have heard that, oh, when you go to school in Canada, you could get your work permit afterwards, and then you could eventually become eligible for permanent residence. So that is under that program, the Canadian Experience Class. So you come to school in Canada, you study for maybe a master's program, 1 or 2 years master's program, and you graduate, you get your postgraduate work permit that is valid for 3 years. And then you work for 1 year, and then you become eligible to apply for your permanent residence.
Wow.
Yeah,
So it
that's
is a
how it works.
yeah, it is a process like here too.
It
So,
is.
but if you look at, I believe in your study of the Canadian immigration system, you might have also take a peep at the United States immigration system, or maybe from stories you hear from other people. If you compare the two systems, which one is complicated?
I am going to be biased here. That's not a fair question. I love Canada. I prefer Canada. I actually chose to move to Canada because I consider a lot of things. I was in the US for a short while. I have family. I barely knew anyone in Canada when I chose Canada. So for me, Canada is a home that I chose for myself because of so many reasons, including their immigration system.
Okay, great, great, great. Okay, now you're a refugee. You go to Canada to settle. Maybe you come on the DV program or the work permit or for schooling, and then there's pathways in which you can take to legalize yourself. Now, when you settle down and you have your permanent resident card, after that, how long does it take before you become a citizen or file for citizenship?
Wonderful. First, I would like to clarify that Canada does not have a DV program.
Okay.
It's absolutely, it's not a DV. It's compared to the US. The US is just random. It's very random. Canada is strategic. They know what they want, and they're going to get what they want. They're not going to give you invitation to apply if you don't have the skills that they need, right? So it's different. No DV programs at all for Canada. Yeah. And then to be able to transition to become a citizen of Canada, you would have been a permanent resident for 3 years, and you would have to meet the residency obligations as well. You would have to, within the period of the most recent 5 years, at the time where you're applying for citizenship, you would have had to live in Canada physically for at least 730 days. So if you came to Canada, you got your permanent residency, usually the best thing to do is just stay put until you apply for your citizenship.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And it is fascinating to hear from you. I mean, you living Canada. Obviously, you've been
Mhm.
to the U.S., and for you, Canada is somewhere where you call me as a second home, and you like it there. Besides being a Liberian, looking at some of the challenges in the system, especially for Africans who do not articulate their ideas very well. I know you fill in the gap to help them with the paperwork and all of that. Um, what are some of the main challenges that you face in completing paperwork for some of the immigrants listening to their stories, from asylum to removal and resettling as a
Mhm.
whole?
So one of the things that we continue to see, not only me, but many of my other colleagues in the field, um, people who maybe do not necessarily have evidence of any need for a refugee claim. That is a serious concern. A lot of people just get a visitor's visa. They come to Canada. As soon as they get to the airport, they make a refugee claim,
Hmm.
right? And then they do that based on the fact that people tell them, "Oh, just do it. When you do it, they're going to give you a work permit. They're going to give you a place to stay. You're not worried." What they don't tell them is that you have to attend a hearing. And when you're attending this hearing, you have to provide evidence that you are, in fact, a person who needs protection, right? So
Mhm.
that part is not discussed. And a lot of times, out of desperation, people just say, well, when we get to that bridge, we'll cross it. That is one concern that is consistent. Another one that is consistent is where maybe people have to show that they have access to sufficient funds. That is a
Mhm.
requirement per legislation. And so that has been a challenge for a lot of people. But there are people too who can meet the requirements. So it's not a major concern for me. Um, the third concern that is a major concern for me is I consult with clients, and I see that they're eligible for permanent residence based on the preliminary assessment that I would do with them, and that's something I always do in all of my consultations, unless maybe under certain circumstances, right? And
Mhm.
maybe that person has a high potential to be placed in the pool, but of course, one of the requirements they have to meet is to sit an English test, a language test.
Mhm.
People don't want to sit the language test. So that is a major challenge. It just breaks my heart to see that you're willing to. I don't know. This is a clear pathway for you. You could move to
Yes.
Canada as an immigrant, right? And maybe out of whatever reasons you feel like no, you don't want to sit the English test, and so that's a challenge. But
Wow.
yeah, so I work in consultation with another Liberian. We are only two Liberians, and I really look, like I said earlier, we both look forward to the time where there will be more Liberians in this field.
Maybe I need to move there to become an immigration
Seriously, there are
service
so
provider.
many Ghanaians, Nigerians, the Indians, these other people, and we're only two Liberians. Like,
Wow.
yeah, I wish more people would look at that, look into the field, just go for it so that we can have a bigger network and collaborate. And for me, I work with Dennis Immigration. I'm sure you might have heard about Christopher Dennis from Dennis Immigration Services.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
co-counsel on cases, and we have a similar mindset about the way that we work, about our work ethics and our goals. So these are recurrent issues that we all, kind of discuss, and we wish that we could, I don't know, work things out. We provide supports in terms of, preparation for exams and all of that, but we wish more people would, join us, and so that we can support our people.
Why, Sharon, are you so passionate about educating the entire public to prevent immigration fraud and scams?
I am, because I know what it feels like to be defrauded. I remember when two of my colleagues, I used to work with Nucal, National Oil Company of Liberia, before I moved to Canada. And the three of us got sponsored and to go to school in Scotland. And three of us went to the same university, Robert Gordon University. And we were trying to find a place to stay. Now, because we're international students, a lot of landlords were very hesitant about renting their place to us. And there was somebody there who defrauded us of 4,000 USD.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember how violated I felt.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I know what it feels like when you've worked hard for your money and somebody just takes it away from you like that. And some of the stories we hear are really horrifying. They make people pack up, sell their belongings in Liberia, move to a different country in hopes of traveling. And these people they are stuck now because they realize that they have been defrauded and they can't move back to Liberia because they are embarrassed, they feel defeated, they have nothing to go back to. As a parent myself, I don't even know how I would feel in that kind of situation. So I empathize with people, and that's what we do in our practice. We try to let people know that before you pay your hard-earned money, ensure that you verify the license of the person who says they're eligible to represent you. Ensure you do that. In fact, when you texted me the very first time, I'm sure on WhatsApp, you received an automated message, right? Where
Yes.
it has verify my license,
Yes.
right? Everybody receives that. And you'll be surprised a lot of people don't want to do the work. They don't want to do it. And then they're afraid. So at some point, I'm like, if you're not willing to put in the work to research and get this information so that your heart is at ease, there's not much I can do for you, right?
Yeah.
And so those are the kinds of things that we try to help people to avoid getting themselves into trouble. There's another thing they're doing, a horrifying thing they're doing in Liberia as well. They're taking people out of Liberia, saying that they're taking them to Ivory Coast or Sierra Leone or Ghana or Nigeria, keeping them in a hotel against their will, encouraging them to convince their family and friends to pay. Yeah. And then that would be the condition for setting them free, or that would be the condition for giving them a job in their quote unquote company. Human trafficking. That's what's happening now.
Yes. Human
Because people
trafficking.
are desperate and they want to leave Liberia or other places and get a better life. So
Yeah.
these things are so horrifying that we want to do something about it.
Yeah. And it goes back to our homeland. If we had resources and employment and infrastructure, why would someone want to leave that country, that comfort at home, to move to another, foreign country? But
100%.
anyway, that's the political side of it. It's a whole different scenario that we could talk about all day.
Oh, yeah.
All day. And if you're just joining us, this is the Gracious Hope Live podcast. We have our special guest here, Ms. Sharon George. She's the founder and director of Mayu Immigration Services Incorporated in Canada. She lives in Edmonton, if I'm pronouncing that city name right. And you can contact her for all immigration services. That number on the screen, which is +1 587 566 6826, or you can visit her website for consultation, which is the mayuimmigration.ca/consultation, right on the screen. And if you have relatives, friends, and family members who are beset by the current immigration crisis or challenges, call her. She will be able to abreast you on all of the current happenings in the immigration system and also give you hope as well. We'll be right back. Don't go away, as our special guest here to talk to us more about the immigration system. Please share our message, that is a video, with your friends, your families, and your loved ones. We'll be right back. Don't go away. All right, we are back here. And if you are just joining us, this is the Gracious Hope Live podcast. We are here every Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And this program is platformed in a way to bring you all things that are good in the human heart, and that is for the common good of humanity. We promote and preserve the Liberian Christian heritage. That is the platform here for this program. And of course, we just want to thank all of you listening and watching for all the letters and the notes that you have sent, compliments, which I appreciate you every time. And it is because of you that we are here. And today, our special guest, Ms. George, enlightening us about the immigration system, its nuances, and everything that you need to know. Maybe not everything today because we got a very short time, but you can still contact her anytime too. And like I had on the screen here, and I put it back here, her number is right there, 587-566-6826, or visit the immigration website of her office, mayuimmigration.ca/consultation. Now, so consultation, Sharon. So if I'm an immigrant and I maybe visited Canada, and I would like to stay there. What are some of the possible ways you can advise someone who does not actually have a case? They might have it, but they don't know. How do you work with people like that?
Right. Up until I think the middle of last year, it was
Mm,
possible for people to visit Canada and then transition from visitor status to worker status if they got a company to hire them or offer them a position. However, the government stopped that, made it impossible. Now, if you want to visit Canada, you are visiting Canada. You are actually visiting Canada. And visiting Canada is not always a bad thing. People don't, a lot of times people see it like, oh, when I pay all that money and I go there, I don't want to leave. But then look at it this way. Do you want to stay here illegally? Because as it is now, if you stay beyond the validity of your entry, you are not your entry of the date that was stamped in your passport or when the data is implied, which is usually 6 months,
mhm.
then you are here illegally. And then you will have to deal with the implications of being in a country illegally. How are you going to work? You're going to have to work under the table. There are so many horror stories that come from working under the table. You're going to be separated from your family. You're not going to be able to leave the country. The moment you leave the country, you'll not be able to come back. You see, a lot of people, they are stuck out of the country. Their family members back home think, oh, that person is just enjoying. They don't want to come back. You don't know what that person is going through with regards to
Yes.
their documents, right?
Hmm.
Don't put yourself in that situation. It's not a bad thing if you came to a country, you come to a country you have plans of moving to. Get to know the place, visit around, look at job opportunities, meet up with employers, market your skill set, network with people. You never know, you could be leaving the country of a job offer. If you came and visited Canada and you got a job offer and you went back to your home country, we can assist you with applying for a work permit as someone who is outside of Canada. That is a service, it's possible. You could come here and as a visitor, you could do so many things. I can't speak right now because I'm not going to be able to advise anyone without knowing them. And I don't want to say something that people will listen to this show and take as legal advice. And you'll be surprised people do that. And they will come back and say, well, I heard you speak on on this podcast and that's what I did. And now here's this problem. And now you're responsible, right? So I
Yeah.
have to be very careful about what I say. And that's the reason why we consult. When we consult with you, we assess your profile, we assess your goals, we assess your everything that would make you eligible for what program. Okay. So you have this skill set, you have this education, you have all of these things. This is what we can do now to strategize so that you can move to Canada, right? It's not always I'm going to visit and this visit I must stay. It's not, it doesn't have to be that way. That
Mhm.
visit could be you getting a job offer and going back home and then coming with your family.
Yeah.
Most people want to come with their families. They don't want to be separated from their children most times
Yes.
if they could help it. So that's what I would say along those lines as regards visitor.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's kind of go over basically all that you do, like the services that you provide.
Right. So visiting. working, studying, permanent residence, refugee, detention, removals, everything related to Canadian immigration. Just when you think about Canadian immigration, anything that is related to spousal sponsorship, family sponsorship, anything related to those things, we are authorized, fully authorized. So when you see somebody has the RCIC-IRB, that means the person has the full spectrum license to practice all areas of immigration law. There are some of our colleagues that have the RCIC.
Mhm.
Those professionals are not allowed, they are not authorized to represent refugees or represent people who are detained or being removed. They
Yeah.
cannot do family sponsorship because they cannot go to the board, right? So what you see, the IRB there means the Immigration and Refugee Board of Canada, right?
Okay.
So there are certain limitations to their licenses. However, for us who have this, we can practice a full spectrum. So you think about Canadian immigration, we are able to do it.
Wow. And the thing is that a lot of Liberians, we tend to see other Liberians doing certain things. We don't, give them the, what would I say, the praise for what they do, because it takes a lot for them to do what they do,
Yeah.
particularly in the complex system of Canada or even the United States. Now, there will be somebody who will be listening to you right now, and they do not live in Canada, but they live in the United States. Can you also offer consultation?
I do with anyone from anywhere in the world. As long as I continue to be in good standing with the college, which
Mhm.
is my regulatory body, I can represent anyone from anywhere. Even if I said I decided to move out of Canada now and I want to move to whichever country and live there, as long as I still have my license and I continue to be in good standing, I can represent anyone. And thank God for technology. Now we have technology.
Yes.
My home office. I'm in my home office. This is where I work from,
Okay.
right? So we can work from anywhere. I could be on the beach and be representing you if I wanted to.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I thought you were only like focused on Canada, but I'm glad you said that because
Yeah,
it opens the doors for other people who have immigration issues,
absolutely.
particularly in the United States. And the United States Supreme Court recently gave President Trump, the go ahead to revoke the temporary status
Yeah,
of immigrants from Venezuela or other places, and those
yeah,
even on the TPS.
yeah.
So now it is becoming a shaky issue because he has executive, authority to do that, and he
Mhm.
campaigned on the goal of getting rid of most immigrants from this country, even some of those who are even legal, like students and all of that. So we find a lot of Africans and people from Asia or Europe or Latin America facing some sort of troubling heart
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
They feel traumatic because
Mhm.
immigration can knock that door anytime, or
Yeah,
media might work anytime. And so, if you are listening right now and you are going through that traumatic situation, we
mhm.
have Sharon here who will be able to assist you with questions that you might have, and also help you allay your fears and see ways and means in which you can find hope. And so, like I put on the screen earlier, to our consultation, the phone number is there, the website is there, and I'm going to put that up there again. And it'll be beneficial to you instead of just waiting and just sitting and
Yeah,
feeling, afraid. Talk to someone who has knowledge, wealth of knowledge, and she has, and she will be glad to assist you in every way. Now, Sharon, let's get down to your faith. I know, uh, are you a believer in Christ?
I
And
am. I am. I'm
okay,
actually one of Jehovah's Witnesses.
okay,
Yeah.
the Jehovah's Witnesses. Okay, how has your faith helped you so far with all of your challenges in life as a whole? What testimony do you have to share with most of our listeners now?
Yeah, I would say that I think God loves me very much because there are certain things that I've been through in my life that when I look back now, I say the only way that I overcame that situation was because of God's grace and his undeserved kindness upon my life. And, I am not perfect by any means. but I try my
Nobody
best.
is.
Nobody is. I try my best to kind of allow my beliefs to guide me in decisions that I make in my business, in my interactions with people. Maintaining integrity is very important.
Mhm.
It's very, very important to me, and and I owe that to my faith, because when you have fear of God, there are certain things you cannot do or you cannot tolerate, and so that really guides me. If I make a mistake because I'm a human being, I know that I made a mistake in that area. I do my best to correct it. So that's one important way that my faith leads me. That
Mhm.
translates across all the entire areas of humanity, whether that person is a believer or not. As long as you're a human being, I believe that you deserve to be treated with integrity.
Yeah, integrity and dignity.
Yeah.
And I know part of your work that you do or services you provide, the mantra is confidentiality.
100%. We have had parents parents who are sponsoring their children who are just 18 years old, and they want information, and I'm like, nope, that's my clients. You would have to get a consent. I need a consent from them to share your information. Sometimes it's frustrating in the beginning, and then later on they always say, thank you for being so professional. Thank you so much. And it just makes people know that this person I'm working with has integrity, and they are very, they're going to treat my child well, or even
Yes.
myself. Yeah.
Yes, and that being me, being immune, more immune, and the world that we live in today, it is hard to find people who are so immune, understanding what it means to be humble, what it means to give a listening ear, and what it means to have a heart of compassion,
Yeah.
and also being honest in dealing with
Yeah.
them, and so you find people, a lot of people, some people shy away from investing their entire life in other
Mhm.
people because of what you say, integrity,
Yeah.
confidentiality, and all of that. But if you have all of those virtues
Yeah.
that safeguard or as guardrails for
Mhm.
your profession and what you do in service to people, that is a very, very good thing to hear, Sharon.
Yes, it is. And I would also add, in addition to that, it is literally a requirement. In order for me to remain in good standing with the college, I need to protect my client's information. If
Yes.
I breach confidentiality, I could literally lose my license. So it's not even something, even if I said I just wanted to be an imperfect human being today and I want to do something bad. And today I don't want to be a good Christian. I don't want to think about God. I need to think about Caesar as well, because I'm under obligation to
Of
protect my
course.
clients. Yeah. So yeah.
Yes, and we are obliged as
Yeah.
even believers in Christ to
100%.
respect authority. We have a civil duty
Yes.
to be patriotic in every way, and also treat others as you want them to treat you. And that's what Jesus said. Okay, so now you say your faith motivated your whole lot and also gives you the pathway for you to better understand your purpose and meaning, as well as other virtues that were enlisted regarding integrity, honesty, confidentiality, and building rapport with your clients and all of that. Now, when you look at all of that and you look at your children, you look at the future, and you look at the community you serve and people you serve, um, what is your take? How does it make you feel?
I feel like in our community, there's still a lot of work to be done. But I
Okay.
do see that some individuals, a lot of individuals actually, comparatively have done well, have, taken up the opportunities that have life has thrown at them, and they've made something out of it. That I do not hesitate when it comes to congratulating people, when it comes to recognizing people for no matter how small their accomplishments are. I am one of those people who will see a stranger on the street and say, "You look awesome today." Because I know that as human beings, we need those things. Recognition is very important. I know that we still have a long way to go in our community, our like Liberian community. I still have a lot of hope as well that more and more people would take charge and take hold of the opportunities that they have and just maximize those opportunities. Again, I also look forward to more individuals joining our profession as well, and representing at this Liberia
This
in that
sounds like a
capacity.
campaign.
Yeah, I want to see it. I like to see people, moving and doing
That's
things
true.
and
Okay.
growing. I like
And
to
growing.
see it. Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't want to be the only Liberians when they say immigration consultants in Canada. It's Christopher Dennis and Sharon George. Like, we want to see more people. We want to have we want to have fellowship. We want to have a network of Liberian
Yes.
professionals.
Yes.
We want
Yes.
those things. We don't want to be the only king and queen of the hill. Kind of.
But Canada is a bigger country, and I believe they have cities in which
Mhm.
a lot of Liberians and other Africans habitate, right?
Yeah.
So, what are some of the cities? You said Edmonton, right? You live in Edmonton,
Edmonton, Windsor. I used to live in Edmonton. I moved last year to Ontario. So there
Ontario.
is, yeah, there's Ontario, there's Alberta, there's British Columbia, Manitoba. There are many, and then of course you have Atlantic Canada, New Brunswick, and all those places. Newfoundland, Prince Edward Island. I mean,
Is it a driving? Do you drive to the cities? Is it driving or is it flying? Because I know from Edmonton to certain cities that
you have to
Liberians.
fly unless you want to drive for 3, 4 days. Canada
No.
is the second largest country by land mass on planet Earth. So it's
Wow.
massive. Yeah.
Do you speak French?
Yeah, oui, je parle français.
Are you serious, Sharon? You speak French?
I
Wow,
used to
you
live
are
in Ivory Coast.
versatile.
Yeah.
Because in Canada they speak English and French, right?
Yeah, but I learned French in Ivory Coast. I used to live in Ivory Coast as a refugee, and
Mhm.
it's rusted now, but it's still there. I can
Yeah,
communicate.
that can. I mean, it can take you by,
Yeah.
especially in Canada if you go certain places, right?
Yep.
The Quebec
100%.
and all of that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So then, looking at the community as a whole, both African and Liberian community, or do you see some sort of a unity and also advancement career or some of them, or how is the life? How is life, that livelihood as a whole? What will you
I will
say from
be
your experience
honest.
and
I
your
will be very
interaction?
honest with you. I don't know a lot about people. I moved to Canada. I went into a shell to rebuild, to face the issues that I had, and to face the reality that I was starting life all over, despite moving here fully
Mhm.
accomplished and everything. So I kind of isolated myself in order to focus on my goals. I really don't know about our communities here. I will be honest with you. I think I've been to only one Liberian event here, and that was in Ottawa last year. A friend of ours was getting inaugurated, and so we went there. That's the only event that I've been to here. So I really don't know a lot. I will not lie to you. I wouldn't say what I don't know, but just in my own personal space, I
Mhm.
see people who are trying their best and who are in little ways
Yeah.
are doing their best, and I try to encourage them as much as I can when it comes to whether especially young people. I believe that for Liberia to change, it's going to take the younger generation is where I have hope. Either that or when Jesus comes back. That, that is the only hope for mankind that I have. When he
Mm.
comes back,
Yes.
him and his father will sort things out and they will fix the earth. But yeah.
Do you have any plans for Liberia using your wealth of knowledge that you have gained so far and continue to gain?
100%. First of all, just being here and being able to provide service to Liberians, that's a big thing, right? They don't have to worry that someone is going to scam them. They don't have to worry that maybe I'm going to work with someone who does not really empathize with my experience. They can't say
Mhm.
that because they have us.
Yes.
We are, yeah. So that's one big way we're making ourselves available to Liberians. Politically, I have no part in politics, so
Why
that's
not?
not my
Why not,
area.
girl? Why not?
Yeah, I want to more lean towards being non-political and just focus on doing good in other
That
ways.
is for now, right? Because you don't know what the future holds, right?
So I have an undergraduate in political science. That is because I am a very vocal person, and when it comes to human rights and all of that, that is something that those are the things that I participate in. But when it comes to like actual politics and the proper governance of administration and other kind of things, I don't want to be a part of it.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that's a personal choice, and that is fair enough, for you to say that. But service or serving other people and becoming a servant, people can pretty much read between the lines and see how competent you are, and they can provide petition for you in the future. So you never know. You never
I
know.
used to work with governments, and I think I worked in that capacity. I worked in development. That was
Mhm.
very good. I didn't need to be in, any kind of those kinds of positions like cabinet positions and things like that. That's not
Yeah.
something I would take. But there are positions where you get to make important decisions that will
Mhm.
impact entire communities. My work that I did, we did projects all across Liberia. We built schools, clinics, we provided drinking water, we provided skills development and all kinds of things. Those are the kinds of things that I like to do, where I actually work with the community and see them grow.
Okay. Yeah. So you've been in service for a long time. You've been like a service or volunteer or
Yep.
helping other people, and
Yep.
it seems like something you enjoy doing to serve
I
others.
do. I do.
Which is that a trait that you took from your parents?
I'm not sure. I think, when I have really suffered in life, I've been through some really traumatic experiences, and I've had all kinds of things happen to me. And so maybe it's from that place of, empathizing with other people and seeing, how can I help? I know what it feels like to be hungry. People who know me know I don't like anybody to say they're hungry near me. I'll feed you all day. And so, those kinds of things can just relate to me. And I know if there's any way I can help, I try to do my best.
Yes. And are your parents still alive in Liberia or with you?
My mom passed away, and my dad is
Oh,
currently in Liberia.
wow. And how's your relationship with your dad?
We're good.
That's
We're
good.
good.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Everybody's
Wow.
busy, but we're good.
Yeah, okay. And I know the time when you look back at your life back in Liberia and now seeing where you are, what can you say as a motivation to maybe a young girl listening to you right now and seeing this, woman being through challenges and her resilience, speaks volume of where she's at right now, helping other people. What will be your message?
Empower yourself is one thing I would say. If I could go back, I would have empowered myself earlier on. Empower yourself. Enjoyment is not going to expire. It will never be out of style. It will always be there. Empower yourself, because when you empower yourself, you are in a better position to allow certain things or not. You are in a better position to protect yourself, to provide for yourself, to provide for other people who need your help. Empower yourself, go to school, learn a trade. And when you learn that trade, learn it very well. And when I say go to school, I'm not saying just go to school and get the documents. Learn. One trick I used when I was studying at UMU in Liberia, sometimes the teachers would come to class, and sometimes, a lot of times, they would not come to class. So one of my colleagues, um, Kula Fufana.
Mhm.
She's not the government official. There was another lady. She's in the U.S. right now. She told me what I do is I ask for the course outline, and that way, whenever the instructor doesn't come to class, I go and do my own research. And so I adopted that method, and it helped me. So every time I went to class, I didn't lose out on anything. Thank God for the internet. I was able to do my research, and I was able to study. So I learned. I didn't just go to school to go to school. I learned. That is something that is going to empower you if you did
Yes.
that. Yeah. And don't let anybody pressure you into having children or getting married or things like that. Focus on empowering yourself. When it's time for you to have children or get married, your husband that you will settle down with, it's a situation that you will have the choice in. You have a voice, and the person will also benefit from you because you have something that you bring to the table.
Great, great, great. And Sharon H. George is our guest. And she's been expressing a wealth of knowledge regarding the immigration system, its complexities, and also how you can be a client to answer or unravel all of the traumatic issues you're facing right now with the immigration system. It doesn't matter where you live, whether in the United States, Europe, or where. If you're listening to us, you're an African or Liberian or any nationality, you can contact her. She's well competent and experienced. She has an undergraduate degree in political science from Liberia, a graduate degree in corporate social responsibility and energy from Scotland, and also she has a certificate of or a diploma in all that she's doing as a professional career. So please contact her. Let me pull her information back on the screen here. As you can see here, she has her website, mayuimmigration.ca/consultation, and the phone number is +1 587 566 6826, and that is the contact information right there. Any final word, Sharon?
Well, I just want to thank you so much for reaching out and for having me here today. I am really grateful. I hope that those listening will be able to share this information and just reach out to us for more information. Don't do the they say thing. Reach out and we'll give you information. The consultation is where it all happens. Nobody leaves that consultation unhappy. People are empowered when they have information. So consultation is what gives you information. So reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to work with you and to welcome you to Canada. Thank you so much, Pastor.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. And it is a pleasure to have you here. And hopefully we can invite you next time on this program for you to talk about more about the work you do and some other things, things that we are not aware of, as a way to make people aware of what you do and how they can be helped in every way. Or maybe we'll jump into politics next time. I know you don't like that.
No.
But we don't talk about a lot about politics here on our platform. We talk about it, but we'll talk about it in a way that will line up with the Word of God, the Bible, when it comes to God's standard of life. So it's a pleasure. It was a pleasure inviting you here, and thank you for responding to our invitation. And for all our listeners, please don't forget to hit that button below, which is share. Share this video with your friends, your families, and your loved ones, so that they can be a part of this program. And also, you can check out our website, graciousHopeFellowship.com, or you can get a copy of this video by downloading it in our app. Go to the App Store, look for Gracious Hope Fellowship, and then you can download the app. You go to our podcast section and then download it, or any other previous podcasts that we've done. Also, we have a YouTube channel. You can subscribe. It's all free. And until then, thank you again, Sharon. And if you don't have anything else, this is how we end our program today. Thank you for coming. And
Thank
may
you.
God richly bless you.
Amen. God bless you too. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Bye-bye now.
All right.